I don't think we screenshotted it, but it's pretty
I
wacky.
think we did, but the events that followed were all very similar. Yeah, again, this is exactly what I'm saying. In the end, Kawaki preyed upon. I'm assuming this means Kawaki was preyed upon, not that Kawaki
Yeah, the one
ate
says
the
what
planet.
happened after is more or less the same. Kawaki was preyed upon and finished. The
Okay.
world will end, or this world will end.
Okay. So do you I feel like you no matter what shouldn't. Do you like it better by saying in the end, no matter what happened, Kawaki was eaten and then the world was preyed upon, destroyed? Or do you prefer it as this being a revelation plot twist? No matter what happened, in the end, Kawaki ate the chakra fruit and destroyed the world. We don't know why it gets that. We don't know what changes, how it gets that. In the same way, we can't possibly understand how Kawaki, who loves Naruto so dearly, is the one that ultimately destroyed Konoha later until the Code arc, or Prophecy arc, I should say. But like coming out of the Ishiki arc, people are wondering, like, there's no possible way. Like, there's something else is going on that has to be Jigen took over his body. And people are saying all sorts of crazy stuff. Like, do you like the idea that, like, we don't know how or why yet, but something happens to where Kawaki gets to a point to where he changes to where he eats a chakra fruit and destroys the world. And we get that revelation here. Almost like a flash forward scene.
Yeah, that's tough, honestly.
Cool.
What's funny actually though is I saw a lot of Twitter posts thinking that the flash forward scene's a different timeline. That's why their outfits were different, which I thought was hilarious. Be the worst retcon ever, but
that's the worst possible future.
Yeah, it's just not gonna happen. Okay, there's a pro and a con to this. If you do the Kawaki one, that is so cool for the Kawaki thing and to set up, especially actually I'll say, to set up a line Boruto's about to say. It would be really, it's really nice. However, that just completely takes away from this worst possible future in reference to the Shinju, I feel like. Now, that's not to say the Shinju can't lead to it, but it just almost just like makes you say, forget about the Shinju, Kawaki, bro, versus the Shinju. You know what I'm saying? It just diverts your attention. Now you're just like, now obviously I'm gonna care. I love Jura. I like Shinju. I'm hype. But narratively, it's like, okay, whatever. You don't matter, Shinju. Kawaki matters.
I get that.
So there's a pro and a con.
But I have a very strong counterpoint to this of when we are getting this. We already knew going into this that there was a worst possible future. We already knew going into this all about the Shinju. Koji
actually, you know what?
What?
I'll let you finish just in case you're going to say what I was going to say.
We're going into this with that information. So now, Koji, or the author, is revealing to the reader that the worst possible future is indeed the Shinju. That isn't a revelation. That is confirming knowledge that we not only already knew, but suspected as being the most likely possibility based on the information we had at the time. In fact, because the worst possible future, it makes no sense for the worst possible future just to be that the Shinju exists. Obviously, it's whatever happens in between the Shinju existing and this to where Kawaki's preyed upon and the planet's destroyed. But like, Koji is particularly, specifically not saying what the worst possible future actually is, the event of it, whatever the Shinju do, which is the worst possible future, or I should say leads to it, but like the worst possible future was already pretty obvious. The point is we don't know why the Shinju are the worst possible future, which is the point of it being the worst possible future. The Shinju's existence alone doesn't do anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's the Shinju's actions that are going to do something, and the end result is this, But what is the action? That's the one thing Koji is not telling us, and the one thing that actually matters, because that is what we're talking about when we mean the worst possible future.
I'll say two things real quick.
Yeah.
One could just be you're thinking too in depth and it's Ikimoto, and it might just be as simple as the Shinju gonna eat Kawaki and Ten Tails devours the planet. That's terrible, worst creature. And that's it. The second, God. You didn't say what I was gonna say. I was gonna say earlier when I was saying, well, if you do this Kawaki thing, it might devalue the Shinju. But at the same time, conversely, if the Shinju are the worst possible future, well, that Kawaki flash forward scene don't mean shit then, bro. The Shinju are worse. So I guess
Well, but this
I
also
think I would prefer that he mentions the Kawaki thing, like no matter what. It doesn't have to be the chakra fruit. It could be no matter what, Kawaki destroys this planet, or whatever he says, Kawaki does blank. I like that now, actually, especially when you get into like the next page or whatever it is.
Well, I'll get to that in just a second, but just based on this alone, this also ruins Kawaki in comparison to what we could have got of setting up Kawaki to be a end game great big bad, setting up anticipation and expectations now going forward that fixes Kawaki now, as opposed to what this is doing, which is saying in all possible futures, Kawaki's just pathetic. There's nothing Kawaki ever does in any timeline. He's just always weak in all of them.
Yeah, bro. I'm sold. Yeah, I would have loved in all the futures, Kawaki does whatever. Yeah. That sets Kawaki up. It's because of the Shinju still in some way. Like we know that the Shinju lead to it somehow. We can infer that.
And again, it's setting up a huge question rather than giving us an answer. It's giving us answers, but then setting up more questions, as it should do as a story.
Yeah, and then it's just like, it makes the flash forward scene that much more hype too.
I know. It's just